In the vast pantheon of ancient Egypt, some gods are instantly recognizable. Ra or Anubis. Yet standing alongside them is a goddess of profound importance, Nephthys, a powerful deity not always fully understood. Her influence permeated the most sacred rituals, from the birth of a pharaoh to the solemn journey into the afterlife. Her Egyptian name, Nebet-Het, reveals the very essence of her identity. It translates to Lady of the House or Lady of the Temple. She was the mistress of this holy space. This name is visually represented in the unique headdress she always wears. It is composed of the sign for a temple enclosure or house, known as HWT, paired with the sign for a basket, Neb. Together they form Nebet-Het. In many ways she was the temple. She embodies the protective walls and the divine mysteries held within. Nephthys was born into one of the most important divine families in Egyptian mythology. She was the daughter of Nut, the sky goddess, and Geb, the earth god. Her siblings included Isis, Osiris, and Set. The relationships between these siblings formed the basis of Egypt's most enduring myths. Born from the sky and earth, Nephthys was linked to the fundamental order of the universe. She was a principal goddess, a direct descendant of the forces that shaped the world. Nephthys's role was complex, often defined by her relationships with her siblings. She was a goddess of twilight, the transition from life to death. Nephthys's esteemed position was formally recognized through her membership in one of ancient Egypt's most influential theological groups, the Great Ennead of Heliopolis. The Ennead, which means the Nine, was a council of 9 major deities who were worshipped at the religious center of Heliopolis, the city of the sun. This was not just a random collection of gods, it was a structured divine family tree that explained the creation of the cosmos. At its head was the creator god, Atum or Ra. From him came Shu, the god of air, and Tefnut, the goddess of moisture. They, in turn, gave birth to Geb and Nut, the earth and sky. The final generation of the Ennead consisted of the 4 children of Geb and Nut, Osiris, Isis, Set, and of course Nephthys. Their inclusion cemented their status as deities of the highest order. Being part of this group meant that Nephthys was considered a foundational goddess, one of the original divine beings whose actions shaped the world for all time. Her place within the Ennead was not incidental. It was a statement of her fundamental importance to the cosmic order. It ensured that her worship was not confined to a single town or region, but was an integral part of the state religion recognized across the land of Egypt. The theological system of the Ennead provided a clear and coherent narrative for the Egyptians. It explained how the world came to be, from the primordial act of creation by Atum to the establishment of divine rule on earth through Osiris. The stories surrounding the Ennead, particularly the conflicts and alliances between the children of Geb and Nut, were central to temple rituals, funerary texts, and royal ideology. As a member, Nephthys was a key player in this grand cosmic drama. Her actions, her relationships, and her powers were essential to the unfolding of these foundational myths that defined Egyptian civilization for thousands of years. Therefore, to truly grasp the significance of Nephthys, we must see her through this lens. She was a pillar of the Heliopolitan creation myth, a goddess whose identity was inseparable from the most powerful deities in the pantheon. Her place was guaranteed by the most ancient and respected religious traditions. This membership in the Ennead provides the context for all her other roles as a funerary protector, a magical healer, and a guardian of the dead. She was not just the lady of the house, but a lady of the cosmos, a founding member of the divine council that governed all of creation. Nephthys' unique headdress instantly identifies her among the goddesses. Her name, Nebet-Het, translates to Lady of the House, literally represented by her crown. Composed of the HWT sign for house or temple and the Neb sign for lady, it declares her divine identity. More than a name tag, it symbolizes sacred space and cosmic structure. Nephthys embodies the divine threshold, the liminal space between worlds. Depicted as a graceful woman with her sacred emblem, her presence signals protection. Her crown acts as a magical sigil, assuring divine protection. The headdress is key to her identity, a constant symbol of her role as protectress. From Karnak's pylons to the Valley of the King's Coffins, it announces her presence. A visual promise of sanctuary, she is the living embodiment of the Holy Temple. Nephthys was often depicted as a kite, a bird known for its wailing cry, deeply tied to her role as a mourner. In the pyramid texts, Nephthys and Isis transform into birds to mourn Osiris. This imagery often shows Nephthys as a woman with falcon wings, symbolizing protection. On sarcophagi, she encircles the deceased with her wings, creating a magical barrier. As a winged goddess, she aligns with the power of Horus, acting as a divine guardian. Her wings ward off chaos, ensuring safe passage and rebirth. Nephthys is both a figure of sorrow and immense protective strength, essential for navigating loss and eternity. Nephthys' symbolism is deeply connected to darkness, night, and transitional spaces. While Isis was associated with the day, Nephthys held dominion over the night. This was the productive darkness of the womb, the tomb, and twilight. Her domain was the horizon at sunset, where the living touched the spirits. Nephthys was comfortable in this space, guiding souls through shadows. In the pyramid texts, she accompanies Ra through the underworld, fighting Apep. She ensures the darkness of death leads to resurrection. Nephthys represented the unseen forces beyond perception. She personifies a positive aspect of darkness, a place of gestation and magical potential. Together with Isis, they represent the complete cycle of existence. Nephthys reigns over the sacred dark, ensuring protection and preparation for the return to light. Nephthys was a divine funerary protector. With Isis, they were great mourners whose grief and magic could reanimate the dead. Their duty was to protect Osiris and every deceased person. Their protective function was tangible in funerary equipment. Nephthys guarded the canopic jars, vessels holding embalmed organs. She protected the lung jar, guarded by Hapi. The lamentations of Isis and Nephthys was recited during funerary ceremonies to invoke the goddesses. Nephthys was a constant companion to the dead, a guide and guardian. Her protection was an absolute necessity for resurrection. Nephthys played a vital role as a guardian and nursemaid to the gods, a function extended to the living pharaoh. In the pyramid texts, she is the nursing mother to Horus, protecting him from Set. As Isis's confidant, she helped conceal and raise Horus, who would reclaim his father's throne. This role had implications for Egyptian kingship, with the pharaoh considered the living Horus. Nephthys' protection was symbolically transferred to the king, making her the divine nurse of the pharaoh. She was a protector of the living monarchy and invoked during childbirth, demonstrating her compassionate character. Nephthys acted to preserve order and protect the vulnerable, ensuring the continuation of the divine lineage. Nephthys was revered as a goddess of immense magical knowledge, a wielder of Heka, the fundamental force of magic that permeated the Egyptian cosmos. She was known to possess words of power, specific incantations and utterances that could influence reality, heal the sick, and protect against malevolent forces. Her magical prowess was considered equal to that of her sister Isis, though it was often expressed in a different context. While Isis's magic was frequently used to reclaim power and restore life, Nephthys' magic was often defensive and protective, creating a shield for those in her care. She was the guardian whose spells formed an impenetrable barrier around the vulnerable. Her healing skills were frequently called upon in magical and medical papyri. Sufferers of various ailments, from scorpion stings to difficult childbirths, would invoke her name for relief. The Egyptians did not draw a sharp line between medicine and magic. Healing was a process that required both practical treatments and divine intervention. Nephthys, as a protective and compassionate goddess, was seen as a powerful ally against the afflictions caused by hostile spirits or divine displeasure. Her incantations were believed to soothe pain, expel poisons, and restore the body to health. She was a divine physician whose remedies were woven from words of power and divine authority. Her magical role was intrinsically linked to her association with the night and the unseen world. She had the power to reveal hidden things, to grant clarity in darkness, and to understand the mysteries that lay beyond ordinary perception. This made her a particularly powerful deity to invoke for protection against nightmares, ghosts, and the unseen terrors of the night. Egyptians would wear amulets bearing her image or recite spells calling her name to ensure a safe and peaceful passage through the dark hours. She was the mistress of the shadows, but she used that mastery not to frighten but to protect and to heal. This command over magic made her an essential figure in the elaborate rituals of mummification and resurrection. The transformation of the deceased from a lifeless corpse into a glorious eternal AKH was a profoundly magical act. It required precise ritual actions and the recitation of powerful spells at every stage. Nephthys, as the queen of the embalmer's shop in some traditions, oversaw this magical process. Her divine words sanctified the embalming materials, protected the body from decay, and ultimately helped to weave the spirit back into its preserved form, ensuring its ability to live forever in the field of reeds. While Nephthys is most often portrayed as a compassionate mourner and a gentle nursemaid, there was another more formidable side to her character. The ancient Egyptians understood that true protection required not just a sheltering embrace, but also the capacity for fierce and decisive action. Nephthys was believed to possess a terrifying and dangerous aspect, a power she could unleash upon the enemies of the gods and the pharaoh. Some texts describe her as being able to incinerate adversaries with her fiery breath, a trait that aligns her with the powerful cobra goddess Wadjet and other fierce solar deities. This ferocity was the active, aggressive dimension of her protective nature. This powerful, warlike aspect ensured that she was not seen as a passive victim or a secondary figure. She was a goddess who could fight. Her loyalty to Osiris and Horus was not just expressed through tears and nurturing. It was backed by a divine fury that could destroy those who threatened the cosmic order. This made her a potent ally for the pharaoh in battle, a divine force who could be called upon to strike down Egypt's foes. Her ferocity was the necessary counterpart to her compassion. She was gentle with those she protected, but utterly terrifying to those who would do them harm, a perfect balance of divine power. Yet, despite this intimidating power, Nephthys was also associated with joy, celebration, and even intoxication. She had a strong connection to beer, a staple of the Egyptian diet, and a central element in religious festivals. Beer was considered a gift from the gods, a beverage that could bring joy, loosen inhibitions, and allow celebrants to enter a state of religious ecstasy. Her association with beer and festivities shows that her domain was not limited to the somber atmosphere of the tomb. She was a goddess of life's pleasures as well, present in the temples during times of great celebration and communal joy. This festive side of her personality further highlights her complexity. She was a goddess of life's most profound transitions, birth and death, but also of the vibrant moments in between. She could be invoked at a funeral to mourn the dead, and at a festival to celebrate with the living. In some rites, she was said to grant the pharaoh the ability to perceive hidden truths by the light of the moon, blending her festive and mystical roles. This multifaceted nature made her a deeply relatable and enduring deity, a goddess who encompassed the full spectrum of experience, from the deepest sorrow to the most exuberant joy. In Egyptian mythology, divine pairings represented cosmic principles. Nephthys's consort was Set, god of chaos. Their union, complex and misunderstood, symbolized the tension between order and chaos. Their marriage represented a necessary balance in the cosmos. Their relationship was strained. Nephthys's loyalties lay with Isis and Osiris. She undermined Set's schemes. Their union was a formal pairing, not affection. Nephthys calmed the storm. Chaos challenged order. Set defended Ra. Nephthys was his partner. Their union represented controlled chaos. Nephthys was linked to Set. She navigated a difficult path. She mediated between creation and destruction. Ultimately, she chose to preserve life. Nephthys is often known as the mother of Anubis, the jackal-headed god of mummification. The story of his parentage is told in several conflicting versions, adding to Nephthys's enigmatic character. The most famous account presents a tale of deception. Nephthys disguised herself as Isis and seduced Osiris. The result of this union was Anubis. Upon discovering the child, Isis compassionately adopts Anubis as her own. Other traditions offer different parentage for Anubis, Regardless, the belief that Nephthys was the mother of Anubis solidified her role as a primary funerary deity. Nephthys and Isis are the divine pair, inseparable mourners representing protection and restoration. Their bond represents sisterhood, a powerful alliance based on shared love and magical purpose. This is illustrated in the Osiris myth, where they search for his body parts. Nephthys abandoned her husband Set to stand with her sister, choosing loyalty. Isis was associated with the day and life, while Nephthys was linked to the night and afterlife. This divine teamwork was a model, embodying a sacred partnership. The sisters working together was a symbol of hope, demonstrating loyalty and shared purpose. Nephthys' devotion to her murdered brother Osiris was unwavering. She actively participated in his protection, mourning, and resurrection. According to the pyramid texts, Nephthys searched for him without rest, shielding his remains from Set. In funerary iconography, Nephthys stands at the head of Osiris's bier, Isis at his feet. Together they create a circle of divine protection, forming a sacred space for reanimation. Her grief was a magical force believed to stir the soul of the deceased. Nephthys' loyalty to Osiris defines her as a savior goddess. Her allegiance lies with life, order, and family. For every ancient Egyptian, her protection was essential to awaken them to eternal life. Nephthys' worship reached great heights during the New Kingdom, especially in the Ramesside period. Ramesses II showed a special devotion to her, founding a temple dedicated solely to her. This established a royally endorsed cult center for Nephthys. Reverence for Nephthys continued, with statues and inscriptions frequently mentioning her alongside Isis, offering protection to the pharaoh. Her cult was a significant part of state religion, with the Ramesside pharaohs regarding Nephthys as a vital divine ally. Nephthys was honored in Egypt's most sacred cities, her presence vital in the great religious centers. In Abydos, during the mysteries of Osiris, priestesses performed the lamentations of Isis and Nephthys, awakening the god and the blessed dead. In Memphis, she was the queen of the embalmer's shop, invoked to sanctify mummification and protect artisans. Her cult thrived in Heracleopolis, where a rededicated statue shows her worship extended beyond funerary rites. In Nome 7 of Upper Egypt, she was Nephthys Keresket, protectress of the Bennu bird and mistress of the mansion of the Sistrum, linking her to rebirth and ritual music. These diverse roles show her as a goddess of mourning, rebirth, and sacred protection. Nephthys' influence was woven into the spiritual life of Egypt's most important cities. Nephthys' worship spanned all of Egypt, from the delta to distant oases. Her images and inscriptions appear in temples everywhere, from Karga to Philae, always among the divine family. She was essential in triads and quartets, never absent from depictions of the Osirian family or funerary protectors. In the Delta, cities like Sebennytos and Heliopolis honored her as a member of the Great Ennead. Her cult's reach from Thebes to Abydos made her a familiar, comforting presence for all Egyptians. Nephthys was a core goddess, not a minor figure. Her protection and power were universally sought. Her image promised comfort and safety in every corner of the land. Nephthys embodied the power of transition, birth, death, and the journey beyond. She presided over childbirth, ensuring safe arrivals, and governed the perilous passage from life to afterlife. Her presence in tombs and embalming houses made her indispensable for a blessed eternity. With Isis, her ritual lamentations transformed grief into a force for rebirth. Nephthys taught that every ending was a beginning and that divine support made transitions sacred, not terrifying. She was the guardian at every threshold, from birth to burial. Her legacy is that of a deity who made the unknown navigable, offering protection and hope. Nephthys was the divine constant in a world of change. Nephthys' legacy is one of compassion and loyalty. She stood by Isis, protected Horus, and chose order over chaos, embodying selfless devotion. As a divine nursemaid, she became a patroness of mothers and children, invoked for protection and healing. Her empathy made her accessible to all, a goddess who listened and intervened in times of need. In magical papyri, she is called upon for mercy and relief from suffering. Nephthys' story teaches that true strength lies in compassion and service to others. She remains the compassionate heart of the Egyptian pantheon. Nephthys' legacy is transformation and protection, especially in the afterlife. As queen of the embalmer's shop, her rituals and words of power enabled the soul's rebirth. Her winged form, shielding sarcophagi, became a symbol of divine defense against chaos. The lamentations of Isis and Nephthys turned grief into a creative, restorative act. She taught that mourning was a path to renewal, not just sorrow. Nephthys was a complete deity, protector, healer, and guide through all of life's cycles. Her enduring message, darkness and transition, are sacred, not to be feared. Modern Egyptology now recognizes Nephthys as a powerful, independent goddess. She and Isis formed a sacred duality, each essential to protection and restoration. Her relationship with Set is seen as a complex pairing, order containing chaos, not simply good versus evil. Recent texts highlight her as a mediator, balancing loyalty to family and cosmic justice. Mapping her cult sites reveals her universal importance, from grand temples to remote shrines. Nephthys was present in daily life, not just myth accessible to all Egyptians. Today she stands as a central pillar of Egyptian theology, goddess of protection, transition and magic. In conclusion, the story of Nephthys offers a profound and enduring lesson about the nature of divinity and the human experience. She teaches us that the aspects of life we often fear, darkness, silence, grief and the end of things, are not voids to be dreaded but sacred spaces of transition, protection and potential. In a world that often prioritizes light and overt action, Nephthys stands as a testament to the power of the shadow, the quiet guardian who watches over us in our most vulnerable moments. Her legacy is a reminder that protection is not always a loud battle. Sometimes it is a silent, sheltering presence, a pair of wings encircling us in the dark. Her character provides a timeless model of loyalty and integrity. In the face of cosmic conflict, she makes a difficult but clear choice, siding with family and order against the destructive impulses of her own husband. This narrative of quiet courage and unwavering devotion resonates even today. She embodies the strength found not in aggression, but in steadfast support and compassionate action. Nephthys shows that one can be a gentle nursemaid and a fierce protector, a sorrowful mourner, and a source of joyous celebration. Her complexity makes her a deeply relatable figure, reflecting the multifaceted roles we all play in our own lives and families. The tale of Nephthys, from her place in the great Ennead to her intimate role at the funeral bier, illustrates the sophisticated and holistic worldview of the ancient Egyptians. They understood that life and death were not opposites, but partners in a continuous cycle, much like the divine sisters Isis and Nephthys themselves. Her presence was essential for balance, ensuring that for every act of creation there was a sacred space of gestation, and for every moment of life there was a protected passage into eternity. She was, and remains, a symbol of the profound truth that wholeness requires both the light and the dark, the seen and the unseen. Ultimately, Nephthys, the lady of the house, emerges from the mists of history not as a secondary goddess, but as an indispensable force of divine compassion. She is the eternal guardian of the threshold, the mistress of sacred magic, and the faithful sister whose love helps to conquer death itself. Her story, rich with symbolism and deep emotional resonance, continues to captivate and instruct us. It teaches that in the deepest grief, there is the potential for magical transformation, and in the darkest night, there is always a vigilant, protective power watching over us, waiting for the dawn.